Case file 312 is freaking me out. I can't sleep. The file landed on my desk with a dull thud, a beige folder mocking me with its ordinariness. Case file 312, the label read, Jenkins, Sarah. Missing since '98. 26 years gone. Davies, my captain, just gave me a look. New DNA hit Thorne. Fresh blood on an old wound. You're up. I wanted to tell him I was tired. Bone tired. Divorced. Alone. Existing on instant coffee and the ghosts of cases past. But I just nodded. What else was I going to do? Maria, my partner, caught me staring at the file. Rough one? She asked, her voice softer than usual. Maria's young, still has that spark. I envy it. Cold case, I mumbled. Girl went missing in '98. Back when pagers were high-tech. Anything to go on. Zilch. Until now. Let's see what this new evidence is all about. The evidence was sparse. A partial DNA profile lifted from a piece of torn fabric found near what the locals called the clearing, a desolate patch of woods a few miles outside town. Back then, it was considered a dead end. Now, a cold hit. Robert Hayes. Hayes was questioned back then. Seemed like a local weirdo. He worked as a groundskeeper at the town's only golf course. Alibi checked out. Or so they thought. I pulled up Hayes' file. Mugshot from '98. Gaunt face, greasy hair, eyes that darted around like trapped mice. He looked older now in his most recent DMV photo. Heavier, but those eyes were the same. First stop, Mrs. Jenkins. Her house was small, swallowed by overgrown hedges. The paint was peeling. The porch sagged. The kind of place that held a lifetime of quiet desperation. She opened the door, her face etched with wrinkles that spoke of sleepless nights and endless sorrow. I showed her my badge. Mrs. Jenkins, I'm Detective Thorne. I'm working on Sarah's case. Her eyes welled up instantly. Sarah? After all these years? The interview was brutal. 26 years of grief poured out in a torrent of tears and fragmented memories. She clutched a faded photo of Sarah, a bright, smiling girl with her whole life ahead of her. I felt like a vulture, picking at the bones of her tragedy. Mr. Hayes, she whispered when I mentioned the name. He always gave me the creeps. Used to stare at Sarah, made me uncomfortable. Leaving her house, I felt heavier than when I went in. Maria was waiting in the car. Tough, she asked. I just nodded. Hayes. We need to bring him in. Hayes didn't look surprised to see us. He was clipping hedges outside the golf course clubhouse, his movements slow and deliberate. Mr. Hayes? I asked. We need you to come downtown with us. He just stared at me, those beady eyes unreadable. About Sarah? The interview room was cold, sterile. Hayes sat across from us, his hands clasped tightly in his lap. We have new evidence, Mr. Hayes, Maria said, her voice firm. DNA evidence linking you to Sarah Jenkins' disappearance. He didn't flinch. I told you people back then, I didn't do anything to that girl. The DNA doesn't lie, Mr. Hayes. I leaned forward. Where was Sarah Jenkins, Mr. Hayes? What happened to her? He remained silent, a stubborn set to his jaw. He denied everything. Said he barely knew Sarah. That the cops harassed him back then because he was different. We let him go. For now. That night, the nightmares started. I saw Sarah in my dreams, standing in the clearing, her face pale and terrified. The trees around her twisted into grotesque shapes, their branches reaching for her like skeletal fingers. A dark figure lurked in the shadows, its face obscured by darkness. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart pounding in my chest. The image of Sarah's face burned in my mind. I spent the next day poring over the old case files again, searching for anything we might have missed. Maria watched me, concern etched on her face.
Elias, you need to take a break. You haven't slept in days.
I'm fine, I snapped, then immediately regretted it. Sorry, Maria. Just, this case is getting to me. I decided to revisit the clearing. I needed to see it for myself, to feel the place where Sarah's life had ended. The clearing was just as desolate as the photo suggested. A small, overgrown patch of ground surrounded by dense woods. The air was heavy, stagnant. I felt a sense of unease, as if I was being watched. I walked around, searching for anything at all. just a glimmer of something missed by the original investigation. The only thing I found was the heavy blanket of dread settling over me. That evening, I consulted with Dr. Vance, the forensic psychologist. She was sharp, perceptive. She could see right through me. "Detective Thorne, you're exhibiting signs of acute stress. Sleep deprivation, increased anxiety, obsessive thinking. This case is affecting you deeply." "It's just, I need to solve it, doctor. For Mrs. Jenkins. For Sarah." "And for yourself?" she asked gently. I didn't answer. I then sought out old man Hemlock. He was a recluse, lived in a dilapidated cabin on the edge of the woods. He was rumored to know everything that happened in this town, past and present. He greeted me with suspicion, his eyes narrowed. He smelled of wood smoke and something else, something earthy and unsettling. "Sarah Jenkins," I said. "You remember her?" He nodded slowly. "Pretty girl. Disappeared. Anything you remember? Anything unusual?" He hesitated, then leaned closer. "There are things in these woods, detective. Things best left undisturbed. Old things. Hungry things." I dismissed it as the ramblings of an old fool, but his words stayed with me. As I delved deeper, I started finding inconsistencies in Hayes's alibi. Small things, easily overlooked. A witness who couldn't quite remember seeing him at the golf course that night. A time card that seemed altered. I brought him in again. Pushed harder this time. He cracked. "I was there," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "But I didn't hurt her. I swear I didn't." "Then who did, Hayes? Who was with you?" He started crying, his body shaking uncontrollably. I can't say. Why not, Hayes? What are you afraid of?" He looked up at me, his eyes filled with terror. "You wouldn't believe me. Nobody would. That night, I dreamt of symbols, strange, angular shapes, etched into the trees surrounding the clearing. Symbols I'd never seen before. The next day, I went back to the clearing. I searched the woods, pushing through the undergrowth. And then I found it. Hidden behind a thicket of trees, a small clearing. In the center, a crude altar made of stones, and etched into the surrounding trees, the symbols from my dreams. My blood ran cold. I called Maria, told her to meet me at the clearing. She arrived, her face pale. "What is this, Elias?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," I said, "but I don't like it." We found more evidence. Small bones, animal skulls, fragments of clothing. It was all wrong. Deeply, profoundly wrong. Then I saw it, carved into one of the altar stones. A symbol identical to the ones I had dreamt about. A symbol carved into MY front door. I hadn't noticed it when I left this morning. It wasn't there. Panic seized me. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. I needed to find Hayes, needed to know what he knew. I drove to his house, a small, dilapidated trailer on the outskirts of town. He wasn't there. I called Maria. "Find Hayes. Now. He's involved in something dark." I decided to go back to the clearing. I couldn't explain why, but I felt drawn to it, like a moth to a flame. It was late, the moon hidden behind heavy clouds. The woods were dark, silent, except for the sound of my own breathing. I walked to the altar, my heart pounding in my chest. I felt like I was being watched. Then I heard a noise, a twig snapping in the distance. "Hayes?" I called out. A figure emerged from the shadows. "Hayes!" He looked different. His eyes were wild, his face contorted with fear. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. "They don't like it when people come here." "Who, Hayes? Who are they?" He shook his head, his eyes darting around. "I can't say. They're always watching." Then he lunged at me. We struggled, falling to the ground. I managed to get the upper hand, pinning him down. "Tell me, Hayes," I yelled. "What happened to Sarah? What's going on here?" He started sobbing. "It wasn't just me," he said. "There were others. We made a deal. A deal with something in the woods." "What kind of deal, Hayes? What did you do?" He hesitated, then blurted out the truth. They had performed a ritual. An ancient ritual, meant to appease the entity that dwelled in the woods. Sarah was the offering. I stared at him, horrified. You sacrificed her? He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I didn't want to, but they made me. They said it was the only way to keep it from taking us all. I didn't know what to believe. Was he telling the truth? Or was he just insane? Then I heard a noise. A low, guttural growl coming from the woods. Hayes' eyes widened with terror. It's here, he whispered. It's coming for us. I looked around, but I couldn't see anything. The woods were dark, silent. Except for that growl. I grabbed Hayes, pulled him to his feet. We need to get out of here, I said. We ran, stumbling through the woods. The growl followed us, growing closer with each step. Then I saw it. A dark shape moving through the trees. It was tall, gaunt, its eyes glowing red in the darkness. I froze, paralyzed with fear. Hayes screamed and tried to run, but it was too late. The shape lunged, grabbing Hayes and dragging him into the darkness. His screams echoed through the woods, then abruptly stopped. I stood there, alone, my heart pounding in my chest. I knew I had to get out of there. I ran, not stopping until I reached my car. I drove back to town, my mind racing. Hayes was dead. He confessed. He was linked to the site. The case would be closed. But something was wrong. I still felt as if I were being watched, stalked. I'm back in my apartment now. I can't sleep. I keep seeing the shape in the woods, hearing that growl, and I keep staring at the symbol carved into my door. It wasn't there yesterday, but it's here now. Case file 3U112 is closed. But it's not over. I know it's not over. Something is still out there, and it's coming for me.